Yeah, from Group T, we will be presenting about the importance of interview. First, the agenda. It is the topic we will be covering is about the importance of interviewing skill, the stage of interview, technicality involving interview, importance of group discussion in interview, and phase of group discussion in interview. Okay, importance of interviewing skill. Interviewing skills are essential for both interviewers and interview. Why? Because strong interviewing skill can significantly increase a candidate chance of landing a job, especially in competitive market. Jobs interview are a critical step in the recruitment process. A successful interview can open the door to the employment, career advancement, and professional growth. And after that, there are several types of jobs interview that each serve different purpose. There's a structured interview where interviewer bisected into a different structure that correlates to its own function. An unstructured interview that were made for the purpose of giving a straightforward and direct interview without the hassle of making a structure of it. And then there's a behavioral interview, an interview that were focused more on recognizing behavioral pattern of the interviewee. This means that in behavioral interview, the interviewee will analyze the behavior of the interviewer, so that if the behavior did pass the requirement for the company requirement, then the interview will be passed. And then there's panel interview that use a series of panel and forms for the interview. Group interview where a series of interviewee come together so that they act as a group. They correlate and act as a group in that said interview, where they will manage everything together and maybe create a complex of mind together. And there's the phone video interview. It is basically a normal interview, but through use of phone or video, an online interview. And there's case interview where an interview use a real case study to boost the significance of the interview. Okay.
So next is the stage of interviews. Before the interview. Before an interview, you must prepare yourself for what will come during an interview. Examine the job description and use the employer's posted job description as a guide. Consider why are we interviewing and have a good understanding of why we want the job. Perform research on the company and role to help provide context for interview. Practice speaking, voice, and body language. A job interview is a meeting held to assess whether the applicant is the right person for the role. Employer use a job interview to find out what you can do for the company in terms of your qualification and the potential contribution that you can provide. There are few stages in the process of interview. First is screening, where the employers conduct a preliminary interview to determine whether you're a viable candidate for the job. Screening is followed by the next stage of the interviews, which is the first interview. The first interview, the introduction, it consists of meeting the interview and getting settled into the interview space. And the next one is the interview question, consists of the employer asking you the question. And then your question, the opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge, expertise, and the extent of the research on the company. The last one is concluding the interview. Restate your interest in the position with enthusiasm before leaving. During the interview, make a strong first impression. Body language should conflict confidence and enthusiasm. Be attentive and engaging and listen carefully to each question and avoid interrupting the interviewer. Be honest and don't exaggerate skills or experience. Structure are answered by using the STAR method, which is situation, talk, action, and result. Showing knowledge of the company to demonstrate that you've done your research about the company. And the last one is end on a strong note and thank the interviewer for their time. The following stage. Second interview, the employer asks to return for a second meeting if we impress the interviewer. The third interview. Some employers prefer to conduct a third interview to help make a final decision. And the final decision, which is a background check and reference, will be conducted when the company wants to hire a new employee. Post-interview strategies. First one is to send a thank you note to reinforce your interest and leave a positive impression. And the second one is to reflect and self-evaluate. Not question your age and areas to improve. Third one is to follow-up strategy. If no timeline was given, follow up after 7 or 10 days. And the last one is we prepare for next steps. Anticipate technical tests or meeting with senior leaders.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the strengths and weakness when facing an interviews. The first thing is a well-prepared response can set you apart from other candidates and boost your chance of landing a job offer. And then number two is hiring manager pose question regarding strengths and weaknesses to gauge your self-awareness and honesty. Number three, our answers offer insight into how fitted we are into the work environment. Number four, to answer this question confidently, we can reflect on our own abilities. And number five, the feedback from the college about our weaknesses can also provide a clarity as we prepare for the job search. And then we have the art of cracking the interviews. So the first is to master the STAR method or situation, talk, action, result. For behavioral questions, master context in situational state our responsibility when given tasks, and choose the action taken. And finally, a satisfactory outcome for the result. And then we have adapt to interview type, such as behavioral, technical, case, study, panel, and stress. And the number three is the most qualified will be selected, and all the questions have correct answer. And lastly, you cannot express your real expectation. Okay, next. Types of interview question. The general question is open-ended question designed to get a basic understanding of your background. And then behavior question will be designed to uncover how we have handled specific situation in the past. Then we have technical question, which is evaluate specific knowledge, skills, and expertise directly related to the demand of the role. Then we have brain teasers or case studies focus on evaluating analytical thinking, problem-solving skills, creativity, and ability to approach ambiguous situation. And for lastly, we have culture fit question. It is to assess how well our personality, values, work style, and professional aspiration align with the company existing culture and overall environment. And then we have some myths of interviews. Is resume is the most important criteria to crack a job. The interviewer is wiser than you, and the most qualified will be selected. All the questions have correct answer, and then you cannot express your real expectation.
Okay. Importance of group discussion in interview. There's a key benefit of group discussion in interview, especially in interview with a group form, in a group interview kind. Okay. First, there's an assessment of communication skill in a group discussion, it is needed for communication skill were needed. Because without any form of communication, there will be no discussion. Thus, it is important to assess our communication skill as a group. And there, an evaluation of teamwork. As it is stated, teamwork, there's a lot of communication in teamwork. A discussion, communication, brainstorming idea, and all of that critical thinking that conjecture with the process need to be re-evaluated so that the result will be significantly will be better than before without any evaluation. Then there's insight into leadership qualities. uh, it is important for a group discussion first to have a leader, because without any leader, the ship will be redirected to somewhere else, to a place that will be lost into a random place. So we need to find someone with a leadership quality, someone that can lead the discussion, the path and of the discussion into something that in line with the theme of the discussion. And then there's the measurement of problem solving abilities. In a discussion, there will be arise some problem that will be stated by the member of the group. And it is important for us to find a way to solve that problem that were given that were asked by the member of the group. Then, lastly, observation of stress management. Uh, in a group discussion, sometimes people get stressed over by other participants. For example, if your argument suddenly were rejected by the other participant, you will feel stressed because it is not what you expect it would be. So it's important for everyone in the group to be able to observe others' emotion and stress control and give empathy to them so that there will be no tension between the group. Then, to excel in a group discussion, we require important guideline for group discussion. First, we need to initiate the theme, the ideas thoughtfully. Yeah, we need to make it so that this theme that we want to discuss actually have a deeper meaning and deeper context, so that it would result in something that has value. And then we need to actively listening into what the other participants said. Because without we actually listening and observing what the other participants said and do, then we will be lost in our thought and we will be have nothing to have a discussion with, to argue with. We will not have a point to argue with them. And then there's clarity and consciousness. Without any sense of clarity, people would not give an idea in a very clear way, because without clarity, your mind will be clouded by stream of thoughts, stream of unimportant thoughts that could hinder the process of the discussion. And then there's balanced participation. There's a need of balance between each part of the participants to ensure a smooth discussion. It is bad for a discussion in a group that for one participant to dominate other participant. It will render the discussion into into a position of stalemate. That's why it is needed for a balanced participation where everyone can give their thoughts and idea for the group to discuss. And then constructive feedback. Per se, you want to make an argument, and then you need that argument will be that argument has a lot of things to talk about. And of course, you want the other participant to do a feedback upon your argument. But a feedback will not be a feedback, if it has no content with it. That's why we need a constructive feedback to feedback a certain argument that a participant made. Like, for example, an argument that do talks about the point, a feedback that do talks about the point of the argument, or something that alongs with the top that goes along with the topic, or maybe the feedback could further enhance the argument or give a criticism, a meaningful criticism to the argument back, so that it would result in a insightful and valuable discussion process and result.
This is a pace of group discussion in interviews. Next. And then this is the invitation phase. There are 4 invitation phase. First one is objective. The objective is to open the discussion with clarity, context, and directions. And then there's a ideal invitation approach. This is for show confidence without arrogance and exhibit clarity of thoughts. And then the next one is tips for a great start. There are many opening to head start our discussion process. And then there's a common mistakes. Structure the planning of your train of thoughts before elaborating it. Next one. Yeah, there's 5 of central discussion phase. First one is objective. It's to analyze a debate and collaborate on the topic through constructive dialogue. And then there's a key participant roles to analyst, the synthesizer, the container, the bridge builder, and the supporter. And then there's effective contribution tips. It's for it can be done through use the PEE model or point explanation example, and always being on a topic where also encourage collaboration. Then there's a handling conflict. Always it will always be tolerant and respect the opinions of other parties in the discussion group. And then the last one is common pitfalls. It's for over speaking or under participating of topic detours and having hostile disagreements.
And then there is a summarization phase. There are 4 of it, which is the first one is objective. It's to review, consolidate, and close the discussion constructively. And then there's a summary, which is brief the topics, the arguments, the consensus, and the suggestion. The number 3 is for tips for summarizing, which is stay neutral, consider inputs, avoid new points, and be concise. And then number 4 is common mistakes, which is adding new argument, unclear explanation, and bias. Okay, next. There are real-world examples and simulated discussion. We have 4, which is number 1, real-world use of GDs in different sectors, which is corporate sector, government sector, and academic institution. And then there's types of topics common in use, which is consists of varying categories. We have also simulated group discussion, which is an example given through simulated environment that mimic real situation. And then there's also lesson from simulation, like there are some arise that gain from the conducted simulation. Okay, next is technicality revolving interviews.
Okay, now we enter the common interview question. Okay, this is the fourth type. This is the fourth type of the question. First one, we're gonna enter the general question, which is tell me about yourself. This type of question is about this type of question is asking about how you tell about yourself, what you good at, who are you in the family, where you live at, etc., etc. The second one is behavioral question. And this question is about the behavioral about you, because this question is asking about how you handle this stuff, how you handle this challenge, and how you manage this problem. The third one is technical assignment. This question is asking about the technical stuff that you related on. For the example, what's your approach to the assignment you submitted on the my extra age? This question is asking about what answer that you gonna say, or what answer did you gonna speak about the question that we've previously asked. The the fourth one is role specific question. And this question is asking about the specific technical issue about role that you apply. For the example, why you interested in this specific role? This question is asking about why you so interested in this specific role. Is it because your uh certification? Is it because you're studying in this? Is it because you have experience in this, etc., etc.? Okay, sharing of assignment, my extra edge. In this page, I'm gonna sharing what am I gonna answer to the previous question. Okay, the first one is tell me about yourself. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm highly motivated and curious learner with a strong passion for technology and continuous skill development. I recently completed an assignment through my Extra Age platform where they applied my knowledge in web development, full stack development, and back end development. I enjoyed working on a real world problem that changed my problem solving abilities and allow me to explore new tools and technologies apart from academic. I actively participate in online hackathon and skill building communities, which help me to stay current disengaged with this industry trend. Okay, the second question is behavioral question. And the behavioral question is tell me about the time you faced a challenge and how you overcame it. Okay, in my extra age assignment, I was tasked with building a web-based application that required integrating front end and back end component. I had limited experience in the back end development at the time and initially struggled with setting up secure and efficiency database connection. To overcome this, I broke the problem into the smaller part. I studied documentation about PHP and MySQL integration and sought help from the community in the forum, which is Overflow and etc. After some trial and error, I successfully implemented the database logic and ensured the data was handled securely. This experience improved my confidence in tracking an unfamiliar problem. Okay, the third question is about technical or the assignment related question. What was your approach to the assignment you submitted on my extra age? Okay, the answer is I started my by breaking down the problem into the manageable component, understanding the requirement, designing the designing the user interface or planning the backend structure and integrating the both sides. I created the wireframe, cleaned the database scheme, and then used the iterative development. I tested each feature after completion. After completion, I also ensure the code reliability by following naming convention and adding comment. Okay, the fourth one is role specific question. Okay, why are you interested in this specific role? This role aligns perfectly with the type work I've been preparing for. Problem solving development and continuous improving. I'm excited about the opportunity to work in a real world application that require both certificity and logic. I also appreciate that your company encourage learning, which is something that I value deeply. And that's all my sharing of assignment, my extra ed. Thank you for watching. That's all from me and our group. See you.